Welcome back into Foolish Club Media. I am Steven Serda, not joined by Rocky Magana again this week, but if you're watching us live on YouTube or on Twitter, you do see my good friend Kramer Sansone stepping up to the plate, filling in for Rocky. He should be back for next week's matchup against the Houston Texans on Saturday, but the Chiefs get it done in Cleveland, I guess, Kramer, with the 21-7 win. And what started out in the first half seeming like, okay, we're finally going to get an all-around Chiefs victory. The defense is playing well, creating turnovers. You're scoring touchdowns and not settling for field goals is basically totally erased in the second half by some of the most unbelievable decision-making that I have ever seen from a coaching staff. Literally, it appeared as if they were intentionally trying to get their superstar quarterback hurt in this one, Kramer. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes leaves in the fourth quarter with an ankle injury after, for whatever reason, it's absolutely inexplicable. The Chiefs just insist on throwing the football for the entirety of the second half, forcing Mahomes to drop back with this makeshift offensive line that's got Joe Thuney at left tackle because they don't trust anybody else there while DJ Humphries is hurt. And Mahomes is just getting lit up because they refuse to run the football, and he's getting lit up over and over and over again until finally he gets lit up in a way that he can't get up from and has to be helped off the field because he suffers an ankle injury. And we don't know yet if it's a legitimately significant ankle injury or if this was just precaution because they were like, we're getting him killed out there. But the decision-making is absolutely inexcusable, Kramer. And I just thought we were going to have a nice, easy noon kickoff Sunday win over the Cleveland Browns. And then that decision-making happens like that in the second half of this one. And it's just absolutely inexcusable by the Kansas City Chiefs.
What I don't understand is what made their minds want to switch from going away from the running game. Because at one point in the time, the running stats, numbers, and the passing yards were 80, 81, 82. However, it was close, and that was all in the first half. And then whatever decided going into halftime, they said, you know what, let's just go ahead and just throw the football. And I still cannot believe we see Mahomes folded up like a lawn chair on 4th of July by this Cleveland Browns defensive line. And this didn't happen just once. This was happening multiple times before the lead up of him getting absolutely crunched with his ankles or however serious it actually truly is. Honestly, you got all these guys falling on you. You know it didn't look good on our view, and you know it didn't feel good either on his standpoint. But my goodness, what an atrocious way to end this game, a game that should have been a jumpstart to this 11-game stretch, and now we're in shambles now because the guy is hurt, or how hard is he actually truly hurt? That's what I'm more concerned about right now after this game. But they got the win, so at least you can have something to cheer about.
Sure. Yeah, they're 13-1, and It did. In the first half, there was moments in this game where it felt like, okay, the defense came to play today. Jameis Winston didn't stand a chance against Steve Spagnuolo in this unit, and the pass rush is finally winning up front. Like, FAU was making plays today along that defensive line. Turk Wharton had a nice day. Chris Jones was absolutely decimating the Browns' offensive line. George Karlaftis had a huge game. Like, Nick Bolton had a monster game. Trent McDuffie gets his first career interception. Like, that's what we should be talking about right now. That's what this post-game show should be about. But we have to sit here and talk about Patrick Mahomes getting injured because the Chiefs, for whatever reason, I don't understand what was going on in the second half. Is this Andy Reid? Is this a Matt Nagy thing? Like, what is going on with the decision-making in the second half where you got Joe Thuney at left tackle to just try to desperately keep Myles Garrett at bay, and that still leads to the Patrick Mahomes being under pressure on over half of his dropbacks. And the run game was effective in the first half. Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco both had nice first halves in this one. And then in the third quarter, they were just like, nope, not going to run the ball. We refuse. At one point, Patrick Mahomes had like 9 straight incompletions and was getting lit up every time he dropped back. I don't understand what the hell was going on in the second half. And Kramer, we've been talking about it on the post-game show over the last several weeks. I do think some of this is like the Chiefs forcing themselves to like work through issues and being like, we're just going to force the pass. Even we're not going to let the matchup dictate what we should do. we're going to force ourselves to do things that we're not doing well right now because we need to improve on those for the postseason. But you didn't need to do that today, not against a 3-win football team, not against a team like the Cleveland Browns, where you had this thing and you were in total command of this thing from the start. But for some reason in the second half, you force your quarterback to drop back over and over and over again. And he's getting lit up over and over and over again until he gets folded up. And now he's got both his ankles taped and he's limping off of the field in Cleveland. Yeah, you're 13-1, but I don't understand what the hell was going on with the decision-making from the Chiefs coaching staff today. It was absolutely atrocious and inexcusable.
It seemed like at the first half, clearly, it seemed like, all right, let's figure out how we can contain Myles Garrett. And I thought the Chiefs did a great job this entire game being able to contain Myles Garrett, even with Joe Thuney there. I get it at times. He's going to cause the disturbance into Patrick Mahomes, but he at least got the job done when needed to before that. And that's only one thing I can kind of like pull from this game, because if, say, the Chiefs in future games, a guy who's a game wrecker on defense, let's just say in a few weeks, we got TJ Watt's going to be going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. And maybe that's their, we're going to scheme against Myles Garrett to hopefully prepare for that Pittsburgh Steelers game later down the road. Well, you can just chalk that away, because who even knows if the quarterback at that time is going to be Patrick Mahomes. And if you also want to take something away from this game as well, Carson Wentz got to play a little bit. That's something that we probably don't want to be putting a lot of light. I'm going to shine a lot of light on that, but at least he's out there getting some snaps, because this is going to be a stretch where we might have to utilize Carson Wentz. We saw what the Chiefs have done in 2 Super Bowl runs, where Chad Henne comes in and just absolutely shines and gets the job done. Can we at least see some sort of encouragement here that, hey, if Mahomes is down, let's just see what Carson Wentz can do?
No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Carson Wentz. I don't want to see Carson Wentz unless it's because the Chiefs have already locked up the 1 seed. Like, that's the only way I want to see Carson Wentz on the football field for the Chiefs this season. And yeah, now they head on a short week. They've got a Saturday matchup with the Houston Texans leading into a Wednesday Christmas Day game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now Patrick Mahomes is hurt because of the decision-making that they made in a virtually meaningless football game that they had total control over. Like, they gave up the one explosive run to Jerome Ford that led to the Browns' only score. And other than that, the Chiefs' defense totally dominated the Browns from start to finish in this one, aside from one play. And I just don't understand when the Chiefs' rushing attack in this game was effective in the first half. And you've got this makeshift offensive line right now. And we'll see if DJ Humphries can come back and try to settle things at left tackle a little bit. And I don't think, like, Joe Thuney wasn't a total disaster at left tackle, but he's obviously playing out of position. That's obviously where he's not best suited to be playing. And it still led to 12 quarterback hits today for the Cleveland Browns. Like, even like Myles Garrett's such a special player that's like keeping him at bay. Is like, oh, Chiefs were pressured on half of their dropbacks today, but it's like, oh, well, what are you going to do? It's Myles Garrett and you got Joe Thuney at left tackle. But what you can do is try to run the ball, try to set up more like quick screen games and things like that, and stop trying to force this drop back passing game that hasn't been functional for a while now, Kramer. And for some reason, they just absolutely refuse to do that. And I mentioned it on Show MBK this week. Like, this Browns run defense has not been good for the back half of the season. Like, you could totally win that matchup on the ground, and that's how you help with the pass rush. But the Chiefs insisting in this hard-headed way that they absolutely have to drop back and pass leads to 38 dropbacks for Patrick Mahomes in a game where they absolutely did not have to do that. And now he's injured, and you're heading into your toughest stretch of the season with the least amount of time possible to try to get healthy and recuperate. It's unbelievable. Like, I'm mind blown with how poor the decision-making was today.
I just can't believe they threw the ball, where you literally could just run this clock out. The Chiefs had this entire game won. I thought since after they scored the first touchdown in the game, like, all right, this is the Chiefs. Who cares? They're going to punt the football a little bit more. They still were able to apply that pressure to Jameis Winston because of how good that defense was. and then you just throw the football and not run the clock out in the second half and just get out of here scot-free, injury-free. I mean, granted, there's some casualties that in the first half happened, but still, the guy, Mahomes, he got hurt because of bad play calling when Andy Reid should just run the football. I don't know how many times I've been harping on this, how many times I've been preaching this. Just run the football. You will win the game 9 times out of 10 when you're up, including on a bad team such as the Cleveland Browns. If you thought the Cleveland Browns were going to come in there and win this game, people, like, you're crazy. You're idiotic. Like, there's no way. The Chiefs are too damn good for this. They won today, but yet you lost Patrick Mahomes, which that's your bread and butter. You need Patrick Mahomes in this stretch. People, in 11 days, 3 games they've played. They got 2 more games left. It's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be a rough week. It will be. Hopefully everything's good with him, though.
And it's frustrating because I want to talk about the defense finally creating turnovers. The defense had 5 turnovers today. That's incredible. The offense had about as smooth of a first half as you could hope for. And that was, and it started early with a nice special teams turnover, and they get the easy score to go up early. And then after that, it's like you capitalize, you get into the end zone, and Harrison Butker does miss a field goal right before half, and then you do absolutely nothing in the second half. But it just felt like that was all they did that to themselves. Like they want to push themselves through more adversity and make things more difficult. We've been talking about that for weeks. They had this stretch where it was like, yeah, you beat this team with the rushing attack. Take some pressure off of Mahomes. Just run the ball. You're trying to get Pacheco back in the mix, and you got Kareem Hunt. And you can win these short yardage downs. Like, these are the matchups. This is how you should play it.
Hell, P-Ryan looks good.
Yeah, P-Ryan had an awesome game today. But the Chiefs just refuse to do it, and they make things so much more difficult than they have to be. And this felt like a game where it's like, yes, they're 13-1, and we should be talking about all of the positives from this. But I'm even more frustrated than I have been in weeks because of how they manage this thing and how they call things. I don't understand what is going on with the decision-making right now. Like, it is absolutely mind-blowing. I understand you're trying to work through things and you're trying to figure out how to function offensively ahead of the playoffs, and you're trying to make NFL history and whatever. But at the end of the day, all that matters is you protect Patrick Mahomes, and you have not done a good job of that over the last month. In fact, I would argue they are going out of their way to do the absolutely opposite of that.
Do you think the Chiefs are chasing points, especially clearly before halftime?
They're not good enough to chase points.
Well, that's the thing.
I don't know why Andy, who has turned into this hyper-conservative coach over the last couple of years, would all of a sudden be chasing points.
But that's the thing. Like, because he wanted to go for it on 4th down before halftime, and then, all right, timeout on the Browns. All right, let's change the mind. Let's put Harrison Butker out there. Boom, missed field goal. But in Andy's mindset, he's probably thinking, we could have got points there. We could have gotten that first down. We could have possibly gotten the touchdown, or even another attempt at getting another field goal. And I think since that point, I think his mind is like, we got to score. We have to score. We have to score. We got to throw the football. We have to get down the field because, well, look at they're applying pressure to Patrick Mahomes. I think at the crucial point of this game was that missed field goal by Harrison Butker.
Well, yeah, I mean that was just ugly. I don't even know what the hell that
was. But mindsets
can
can definitely change after that. And I'm curious if that's something that could have been harping upon them in the locker room, because after the locker room, something switched. Something was said or something wasn't said in that locker room.
Oh, but this is what we've seen from them, though. Like, this is how it's been for weeks. Oh, the Panthers have the worst run defense in the NFL. We're going to throw it 40 times. Like, I don't understand the decision-making now. And it's like, and I kept trying to talk myself into it and be like, well, they're working through things. They're working through things. Like, it makes sense. No, like, there's a game plan here. And then after today, I'm like, maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe there is no plan. Maybe they have no idea what's going on. And I don't believe that's true. I think they're one of the best coached teams in the NFL, and that's how they keep managing to win these types of frustrating games. But, like, I just think an easy win goes a long way sometimes, and they just desperately need an easy win. They don't have to always make it as difficult as possible. And today it was like, oh, we're up 21-0. Nope, that's too easy. Let's see what kind of adversity we can create for ourselves. And that came through forcing Mahomes to drop back when his protection was failing over and over again until he ultimately gets injured. Like, it's just so frustrating, especially with how the offense played in the first half, because I think, Kramer, the way the offense was moving the ball in the first half, like, that's exactly how you want them to operate. They're not an explosive offense anymore. Like, maybe they'll hit one of those come playoff time. I don't know, because that was still off again today. Holmes took several deep shots in the first half, and they just were nowhere close to like happening.
Yeah.
But the way the offense was functioning is how you want this offense to function. It was efficient. It was spreading the ball around. Kelsey was in the mix. Hopkins was in the mix. Worthy was in the mix. You had a nice balanced rushing attack with Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, both in the mix, both giving you positive gains when they were touching the football. And that's what this offense needs to be. It just can't turn the football over. You can't give Mahomes a lot of time to drop back. So these long developing route trees just aren't going to work for them. But they're at their best when they're hurrying up, when they're leaning into the quick game, when they're leaning into the rushing attack. And I thought that was great in the first half. And then it's like you come out of halftime, and maybe you're right. Maybe it was a field goal that totally set this thing off. But coming into the second half, I'm like in a good mood. And I'm like, yeah, finally going to get an easy win. Hell yeah. Like, let's go. I finally, everybody accuses me of just being negative, even though the Chiefs are a one-loss team and it looks like they're cruising to a first-round bye. And it's just week after week they do these things where it's so frustrating because you can just – you can see how they're forcing themselves to make things more difficult than they have to be. And it's like, I just think an easy win for once would go so far for this team.
Today was the day for the easy win.
Happen.
Today was the day for the easy win. It was. This was the day for that. And they just made it super interesting and difficult at the same time, or they didn't need to at all.
Yeah, like I just don't understand what they're doing half of the time. And it's especially frustrating because I was like, the first half certainly wasn't perfect. Like it still wasn't a flawless performance, but they did enough in the first half to come away with it where I was feeling great coming out of halftime, even after the Butker missed field goal.
But I'm also like, that first half, it was good. I'm not gonna say that Patrick Mahomes had the best game of his career today because there was a lot of 3-and-outs. Even before the stretch of him missing the 8 in a row or 9 in a row or however it was in the second half, he was still not as efficient as we've seen. You mentioned the deep balls. I mean, I can think of one right now. One pass wasn't really that deep. It was a Travis Kelce. They airmailed that. Airmailed one that Xavier Ward that was uncatchable. The Justin Watson pass interference is also another one that was not good. And I wouldn't say Patrick Mahomes had the best day of his career or even in the season at all. And the lead up to him also getting hurt, he could have thrown the ball out of bounds. Like I get it. He's getting swarmed up. But just get rid of the football at this point in time in the game.
But that was just another frustrating circumstance where they're forcing it on, I think it was a 4th and 3. And this is after they've refused to run the ball. Mahomes has a bunch of incompletions, like is getting hit multiple times because he's got no protection when he drops back. And then they force it on a 4th and 3, and he just gets absolutely drilled and gets folded up, and that leads to his injury. Now, I'm keeping an eye out for post-game press conferences, see if they give us any kind of update on it. I'm sure they'll say, I got rolled up on, his ankle needs to get checked out, it's going to be looked at or whatever. I'm sure we won't get much of an update from Andy Reid on this thing, but I'm sure Andy will say something like, I have to be better. I got to change the decision-making. Like, that was on me. Like, we didn't have our greatest game or whatever. But at the end of the day, they're 13-1, sure. But now you're headed into this stretch where you've got to play games with very little rest. You're trying to clinch an first-round bye for the postseason. And now there's a legitimate question as to how healthy Patrick Mahomes is going to be because of what the Chiefs decided to do today. And it just would have been so much easier, Kramer, if they just would have run the football. Like, the running game looked good in the first half. This Cleveland Browns rush defense has not been good. Over the last 6 weeks, they've been a bottom 10 run defense in the NFL. You absolutely can win that matchup with Joe Thuney at left tackle and Mike Caliendo in at guard. Like, you absolutely can do that. And they just chose not to. They just went out of their way not to today. And And I don't know if that's like, and I want to get to Worthy a little bit more too, because I do want to focus on some of the things that we saw that I think are positive signs for the Chiefs moving forward. But it's like, we know their rushing attack can be better. And we know that Pacheco is going to add an element to this game that they've been missing all season. But this ramp up period where I don't know if it's like they just don't want to press him too hard because I think he's going to be so important in the playoffs. And then Kareem Hunt is your short yardage guy or whatever. But they got to just get Pacheco going. Like, let's create some explosive runs. Let's lean into the ground game. Let's stop putting Patrick Mahomes in jeopardy. And it's so much more frustrating when you saw how successful the rushing attack was in the first half. But this is a month straight now, Kramer, where they just refuse. They're just simply down the stretch, absolutely refusing to run the ball as an offense.
And I'm led to believe now to where I don't expect them to run the football anymore, like ever. Like I'm a big fantasy football. I'm a head wise. I love doing it, but I stayed away from the running backs this year, even though I probably should have picked up Kareem Hunt for how he's started to do. But now at this point in time, they're not as valuable as I would hope for them to be. We're in the late half of the season. You're relying upon your backs to get you through the games because majority of everybody's team is banged up and is ready to get this season over with. Even if, like, the Browns players, they're clearly ready for the season to be over with. Their season's been done for the last 5 weeks. So they're at least satisfied with the fact that, all right, we got through another week, we're done. The Chiefs have a different mentality, though. You're going to be playing deep into January and in the first week of February. That's the main goal, the main focus, the main drive for this team is. So run it with your backs. You know that you have 4 guys back there, whether it is P. Ryan, whether it's Carson Steele, even if you want to give the workload to Isaiah Pacheco, you have enough bodies back there right now to just rely upon them, and they just refuse to.
Yeah, it was legitimate malpractice head coaching by the Kansas City Chiefs today. I probably should have turned the light on in here because now it's getting pretty dark. But
hey, it's almost 4 o'clock, buddy. It gets dark around here.
After the game, we're still waiting for Andy Reid to speak to the media about his awful decision making that led to Patrick Mahomes' injury today. But from multiple reporters on site in Cleveland, Patrick Mahomes was seen walking around the locker room after the game. He later did get picked up by a cart outside the locker room where it looks like he's being taken to get x-rayed and checked out. So that's not the end of the world. That means they're just checking the severity on this thing, and we'll find out more, I'm sure, here very soon. But it's not going to be good if there is some kind of significant thing. And we've seen Mahomes play through these kinds of injuries before, but you can't risk putting him out there on these short turnarounds while you're trying to win the conference, while you're trying to go win a postseason bye right now. So the Chiefs are going to have to make a decision. If he's going to have to miss some time, obviously they're going to have to sit him down and lean on Carson Wentz and hope they can get a couple of wins here at the end of the season just to lock up that 1 seed and get him back for the playoffs. We don't know the severity of it yet. I'm sure we'll have more details soon as he's getting checked out. Hopefully, it's an ankle sprain and it's something that he can rest up and be totally fine to go moving forward. But obviously, this is not what you want to see if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
No, not at all. What I'm also curious is, which of the ankles of the two are the ones that are the most hurt? Because we saw them both getting wrapped up. Both the ankles are getting wrapped up on the sideline during the game. So I hope that the severity isn't either of them. But if they're both hurt because of that one play, that's got to be bad. That's got to be really bad. Now that's the fall back on of, oh man, should have just ran the football. You should have just ran the football. Andy. I thought this wouldn't be even a single question or a single talking point if you just run the damn football.
And I see your guys' comments. We'll try to get to a couple of those before we get out of here. And I'm sorry, this isn't the kind of post-game show that I like doing. Like, I want to just celebrate a Chiefs win and have fun talking about this football team. But the decision-making by this coaching staff today was unforgivable. It was just absolutely unreal what they put him through. And according to Vahe Gregorian from the Kansas City Star, says Mahomes is back in the locker room now, but no word yet on whether he'll speak to the media. He always goes to the post-game podium, but in the case of injuries, the Chiefs will generally hold a player off. So We'll find out if he does. Hopefully he can go speak to the media and kind of shed some light on the ankle injury. I'm sure Andy Reid will be up there here in a few minutes, but it's just not a good scene, and it's not a good look for the Kansas City Chiefs. Even though they managed to improve to 13-1, they keep their stranglehold on the conference, but it's on the back of just some absolutely heinous decision-making by this coaching staff to put their star player in so much jeopardy and risk his season in the way that they did on Sunday is incredibly frustrating. And I think any Chiefs fan who watched the second half of that football game should be upset. But again, we'll try to get to a couple of your comments here in a few minutes. But I do, while we're waiting to see if we can get any kind of news before we get out of here on Patrick Mahomes, I do want to mention Xavier Worthy because I thought that was a nice wrinkle to this game plan. One of the few, Kramer, offensively.
Yeah.
And it's something that's been trending here in the last few weeks now. Like they're working on getting Worthy more involved in the offense. And it's something that I had been asking for all season long. Like, just find ways to utilize his speed because you don't have a lot of explosive playmakers. And now it's reported that, Hollywood Brown returned to practice for the Chiefs this week, and there's a chance he could be back very soon. So you're going to get an explosive wide receiver who's a more well-rounded player than Xavier Worthy here very soon, hopefully, in Hollywood Brown. That's going to be a huge boost to this offense. But Worthy is your one explosive guy. And so he's been trending in the right direction. It still hasn't totally hit on the deep ball and everything, but he finishes today 6 receptions, 46 yards. Also has 3 carries for 30 yards and that touchdown. And the Chiefs had multiple manufactured touches for Xavier Worthy today. And that's what I've been asking for weeks. And it's been trending in the right direction. And that was like one positive that I took away from this game where it's like, yes, that's how he can be effective. He doesn't just have to get, the 2 to 3 deep shots a game that they can't connect on to save their lives. Let's just get him some manufactured easy touches and see if he can create with that speed and see what can happen. And today it wasn't like the most impressive stat line or anything like that, but it's encouraging just to see him getting the touches and seeing the Chiefs try to utilize his speed in a functional way.
They just need to figure out a way to get the ball in his hands and let his speed do the rest. Because he's a great route runner. He's got great agility. He's able to beat you at the edge. Just do a simple drag route. Even do like a wide receiver screen if you want to throw that in there, or a simple comeback route. You can easily get him in the motion of the full swing of things in this offense. Just get the ball in his hands. And as we saw today, I think it's the right step in the right direction. I feel like we're going to see his workload even increase, even with Hollywood Brown. If he doesn't even come back this upcoming week or the week after that, or whenever he is cleared to actually come and play, I still think we're going to see the usage of Xavier Worthy even be more of an uptick for this team because simply get the ball in his hands.
And this is from Adam Teicher's Andy Reid speaking to the media now after the game. He says there is no break in Mahomes' ankle, so no fracture. So that's
good.
Wonderful news for Chiefs fans. But I don't want to just jump to conclusions, but I would assume that means it's probably some kind of ankle sprain, which we've seen him play through that before. But I would have to assume with 3 games left to go, and you really just need to win one to lock up this number 1 seed in the AFC, that the Chiefs are going to play it safe with him. So if he is questionable at all this week, I'm perfectly fine with Carson Wentz playing on Saturday against the Houston Texans and try to give Mahomes a chance to rest up for that Christmas Day game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Though the way this offensive line is playing right now, Kramer, I'm not sure I really want to see Mahomes go against TJ Watt and that Steelers defensive line on Christmas Day. But good news is that it doesn't seem like he fractured his ankle. So we'll see in the coming days what the update is on Patrick Mahomes. But I also am really eager to hear Andy Reid's post-game comments because I just absolutely inexcusable decision-making by the Chiefs head coach and their coaching staff today and the way that they handled this game, because they're absolutely the reason that Mahomes got injured in this one.
It's not like this coaching staff has it's been a while since I think this coaching staff has actually had a flub on their end. I get it. They're winning by these 1-score victory games, but who cares? They're winning these games. That's how they're figuring out the win. This is inexcusable. It's unacceptable. This is just leaving your guy out there to dry, and it's not good. And this is your franchise. So I'll keep saying that until someone could prove me wrong and otherwise. So, but it was a terrible coaching decision here in the second half of this game.
And this is from Pro Football Talk. He says, according to sources, Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain. He's probably week to week. So
it's good.
I mean, that's what I would expect. High ankle sprains are hard to come back from. And typically we see players with high ankle sprains. It's usually like you're out for like 4 to 6 weeks. And we've seen Mahomes play through this kind of injury before, but I would have to imagine with 3 games left in the regular season and Chiefs sitting at 13-1, they're going to play it safe with this short turnaround time. So we'll have to see how the week progresses for the Kansas City Chiefs. And you guys make sure you stay locked in right here to Foolish Club Media, because we'll have everything you need to know throughout the week. But it's probably, I would have to imagine it is going to be tough for Patrick Mahomes to turn around and play the Houston Texans on Saturday this week. But good news is it's not over. Like he didn't break his ankle or anything. It is just an ankle sprain. So there is some positive news to come out of today's game. And really the only other positive thing that I want to talk about, Kramer, and then we can get out of here because I'm frustrated still about the second half of this game. The Chiefs defense finally stepped up. We've been talking for weeks. Obviously they've been struggling since Jalen Watson got injured, and looking for help in the secondary, and they just brought in Steven Nelson. Joshua Williams had finally, found his role back on the defense and had been playing well, and he had some nice moments today, also had some bad moments. That's what you get with a player like Joshua Williams. Najee Johnson was back in the mix today. Jamari Conner did leave this game with a concussion too, so that's something to monitor for the Kansas City Chiefs. But I would have to imagine as they get Steven Nelson back into the mix, he's going to have an opportunity possibly to get some playing time on the defense. But again, we've seen this Cleveland Browns offense with Jameis Winston be extremely explosive and be one of the more fun offenses to watch when Jameis is just out there slinging it. But he's also going to give you some chance for some turnovers. And the Chiefs defense has not forced a lot of turnovers this season. So to see them force that many today, positive sign. Incredible game from Nick Bolton today. Amazing game from the Chiefs defensive line. George Karlaftis, Tershawn Wharton, FAU had an impact. Chris Jones was absolutely dominant. Like all around defensively, Steve Spagnuolo had them locked in this week, and they absolutely decimated Jameis Winston to the point where they put in the backup quarterback in the fourth quarter just because Jameis Winston could get absolutely nothing going for the Browns.
That, and also a guy you didn't mention, Charles Minihue. He actually was a big force on that pass rush today, able to cause some pressures. I get it. He could have had an easy sack, and you went over the top of him. But that's also Jameis sliding out there like a little snake he is. But, man, this defense is great. The fact that Nick Bolton got interception, Nick Bolton, I think we just got a round of applause. That, and also round of applause, Trent McDuffie. McDuffie got intercepted. Can we talk about that for a second? I know how angered you are, Mr. Steven Serda, of how mad you are about the coaching decisions, but can we just take a moment and just appreciate Trent McDuffie's first interception of his NFL career? And it was a nasty one too. He even had a little face mask on that. But at least let's Trent McDuffie, let's go.
And Jaden Hicks also with an interception to close this game out. So
he wanted to return that one back badly.
Yeah. And it was amazing performance by the Chiefs defense. And also you have to respect Jameis Winston's I know nobody throws at that dude, Trent McDuffie, but I'm going to. And he did it over and over again today. Like, McDuffie had a nice game. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the most times Trent McDuffie's been targeted in a game, like in his NFL career. Because Jameis was going at him today. Jameis was like, I'm going to see if you're really an all-pro player. And Trent McDuffie stepped up. Yes, that interception was incredible. So it's really nice to see a player of his caliber finally get that and get it out of the way, because it is crazy. He's almost through his third regular season and had never gotten an interception, but has been one of the absolute best cornerbacks in the NFL since he set foot in the league. Like, it was just, it was a really nice all around performance by the defense today. So I really don't have any gripes with them. Was really nice to just see them get back to form a little bit and look like the defense that we're used to seeing, and actually like get off the field on multiple third downs today. Real quickly too, Again, from Andy Reid, he says Patrick Mahomes probably could have stayed in the game, but there was no need for that. So
Okay.
says Mahomes probably could have returned on his injured ankle if they really needed him to, but they decided that they could finish it with Carson Wentz. So
good decision.
Okay, cool,
put in
I
Carson.
guess.
Good job.
Yeah. If I were Mahomes, I'd be like, you're not putting me back out there. Just keep getting lit up like that, dude. What the hell are we doing? We got Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. Can we please just run the football a little bit? But all right, let's get to a couple of comments before we get out of here from our guy and regular around here on Foolish Club Media. Elliot, 3rd and 4 deep ball has got to stop. I totally agree, Kramer. It's been happening a lot more lately. I don't know why Mahomes has decided on 3rd down he wants to go for the home run every time. But on 3rd and short, he's been doing it a lot more where he will just rip it downfield. And it almost never has a chance. And then you're just like, okay, well, now you have to punt. Like, what the hell did we do that for?
See, I used to feel comfortable with Mahomes on 3rd and long situations, converting that 1st down. Now 3rd and short, I'm like, all right, this is going to be a punt. It's going to happen. I mean, clearly we saw it 3-4 times today. So, 3rd and 4, this is a simple pass to Noah Gray, your new tight end number 1, Noah Gray. So I might as well just do it that way.
From Trey Greenleaf, week after week, Andy says the same thing. Just got to clean some things up, and nothing changes. And Andy straight malpractice as a coach today. Yeah. I really hope the Chiefs bounce back and look good against the Houston Texans. I hope Patrick Mahomes is healthy and good to go for that game, and there's nothing holding him back. But yeah, it was just that kind of game today. And it was really frustrating because, again, Kramer, like you could see the instances where it should have been so much easier than it was. And the Chiefs took the hard way out again, for whatever reason. And this time it leads to Patrick Mahomes just getting decimated over and over again and inevitably getting injured enough to the point where they were just like, yeah, you probably just don't need to go back out there today.
Now, the best thing Andy did this game was put Carson Wentz out there. I'm just saying. Even though it was later on in the game after he got hurt, just get him out there. Even Mahomes getting hurt, just get him out there.
He's Kramer Sansone. You can follow him on Twitter at Kramer Talks. I'm Steven Serda. That's where you can find me. As always, please make sure you subscribe, rate, and review everything that we're doing right here on Foolish Club Media. We'll be back this week with our normal lineup of shows, everything you need to know ahead of Saturday's game between the Chiefs and Texans. Have the latest episode of each season coming your way, the Daily Fix every day at noon with Ron Hughley. So make sure you head over to our YouTube page, Brian's World, Show and BK, all the shows you know and love right here on Foolish Club Media. We'll talk to you this week about the Chiefs and Texans.